The Olympus cameras have a number of art filters, which you can use in either picture mode or in movie mode. So I'm going to go through them one by one and show some sample footage so they can get an idea of how they look like. But each of the picture modes have multiple options within them. So if you go to, let's just go to something a bit more adventurous, like grainy film, for example. If you choose grainy film, then you have grainy, the filter type, the second option and the first option, and those provide different effects. So I'm not going to go through each of the sub options for each filter, but I will go through each filter using the default option that it has. And the other thing you get with some of the filters, for example with vintage, you can choose vintage, and then within that you have sub options, so you can choose the filter type again, and it will give you slightly different appearances. But aside from the sub option, you also can add effects, and the effects are, for example, a pinhole effect, soft focus, and how you want the framing to be. You can blur the top and bottom or have shades and so on. So I'm going to take off the effect, but I will use the filters. There's too many options for me to go through every single one of them, so I will just go through the art filters themselves, and then that should give you an idea of how each of them look. So let's start with natural. One of the filters that I like is the vintage look. So let me just go down to it. And within the vintage option, I like to select the effect of having the pinhole effect. So we have the first option, the filter type 1, and the effect, pinhole effect on the vintage. One thing worth mentioning is that when I was shooting videos in 4K at 30 frames per second with the art filters, the camera was actually struggling. When I was actually taking the videos, the LCD screen was lagging. So if you're using 4K mode with art filters, it might be worth going to the menu item and choosing a lower frame rate, such as 25 frames per second or 24 frames per second. to compensate for the camera lag. Alternatively, if you press the shortcut button here on top, you can choose high definition instead of 4K, and that should reduce the amount of processing that the camera needs to do. And then use that in conjunction with the art filters. In addition to using the art filters for video mode, you can also use the art filters in still picture mode. So there's a dedicated art mode on the mode dial button, which you can use, and if you select the art mode on the mode dial, then when you press the shortcut button, you can see all the different art modes here with the various sub options that you get. And some of the stuff like partial color, you can actually change the color that you want to be displayed. And the menu items are slightly different. So, for example, here you have Pop Art 2 and Pop Art 1 being displayed as a separate item, whereas if you go out of the shortcut button, or the super control panel, I think as they call it, and then go to the art mode, then the Pop Art 1 and 2 are sub-menus if you're in video mode, but in still picture mode under the art option, if you have the mode dial up here set to art, then on the picture mode you get these as separate items. So the menus change around based on what settings you have on the camera.